let's take a look at today's do now. We have solve each equation below. Number one, 5x minus 3 is equal to 2x minus 27. And number two, 4 times 7 plus 5y minus 3y is equal to 6 minus 2y. So pause the video, try both problems on your own, and we will compare our answers. All right, so for question number one, you should get a result of x is equal to -8. And for number two, after distributing and combining like terms, we should get an answer of y equals -22/19. So let's take a look at our example. Solving equations. For number one, solve 3 times b plus 2 minus 2 times b plus 2/3 is equal to 3/5 times 2/5b minus 20/9. And we want to represent our answer in a notation known as set notation. Set notation is a way to write your answer, and the answer has to be within curly brace. All right, so the first thing we have to do is get an answer. We have to do our distribution, our combining like terms, and get to be equal some value. So we're going to start with distribution. All right, so after distributing, we should get 3b plus 6 minus 2b minus 4/3 is equal to 6/25b minus 4/3. So at this point, what we have to do is combine like terms on the left on its own, and then combine like terms on the right on its own. So looking at the left side, when we combine the b's and combine 6 with -4/3, we should get b plus 14/3. And that number is equal to everything on the right side because there are no like terms to combine. So at this point, let's move the b's together and move the constants together. All right, so at this point, if I combine my b's, we have 1b minus 6/25b. We get 19/25, and that is equal to -6. So to solve for b, the last step would be get rid of the 19/25 from both sides, which just means that we need to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And we get an answer of b equals -150/19. And we're going to write our answer using set notation, which just means I need to put this value inside the curly brace. Do not include the b piece. It's just what b is equal to. All right, let's try number two. For number two, we have an equation in which we're going to need to start off by distributing. We're going to combine like terms. We're going to do all our stuff that we know how to do. And as before, we want to write our answer using set notation. So I'm going to let you guys do your distribution and your combining like terms process, and then we will compare what we end up with. So this is what we get. After distributing, we should get -10n plus 15/2 is equal to -10n plus 19. So as we know, we need to solve for n. So that means that we need to move the n's together. But as soon as I saw what I got for the distribution and combining like terms piece, I saw that we had the same n value both on the left and on the right. And if we were to move them together, they would completely get eliminated, giving me no variable no longer. So all we have is 15/2 is equal to the number 19. This statement is not true. The number 15 over 2 is not equal to the number 19. So since we have a false statement, this is known to be as an inconsistent. When you have a statement that is inconsistent, right, false, what you are going to say is that there is no solution. But we do need to write our answer using set notation as specified in the beginning. So how do you write no solution in terms of set notation? Only write curly brace, nothing inside. Nothing inside means there is no solution. All right, let's try number 3 and number 4. For both these problems, we are given function notation. So we have f of x, and we have, for number 4, p of x. So how do you do these questions? Well, you do them exactly as you would any other problem. You are going to combine like terms if possible. So for the first one here, we could combine the f of x, and we can combine negative 14 with positive 28. We're going to combine these, and we should get 13 over 3 f of x plus 14 is equal to 21. So we are going to isolate the variable, in this case f of x. Move 14 over by subtracting it. So giving us 21 minus 14 is equal to 7. To get rid of the fraction in front of f of x, we are going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And we get f of x is equal to 21 over 13. Here, directions were not specified as what notation we want, so I am just going to leave my answer as such. For number 4, we have solve. Distribution is happening, so I am going to start with that process. Let's get rid of everything in front of the parentheses, and then we can actually combine like terms. After distributing, this is what we should get. We are going to now start combining like terms on the left and also on the right. And we end up with this equation. Now notice, both the left and the right side are identical. But if you don't realize that from the beginning, let's just solve. Well, if we were to move the variables together, they would cancel out. But this time, unlike the previous question, we get a statement that is true. Negative 41 over 2 is equal to negative 41 over 2. These are identical. When you get an identical or true statement, you have to understand that we have infinite amount of possibilities. We have infinite solutions. But how would you represent infinite solutions in set notation? Again, even though not specified, I am going to write my answer using set notation. You are going to say double R, that is the set of all real numbers, and you would wrap that around curly brace. So we end up with infinite solutions, the set of all reals. So let's take a look at our next thinking. How do we solve equations using the calculator? Solving an equation using the TI calculator. One of the easiest ways to solve an equation on the calculator is by graphing. Note, this is not the only way to solve an equation on the calculator. So things for us to know, equations are written as expression number 1 is equal to expression number 2. This is super important because this is what's going to be what we're going to be inputting into the calculator. So steps, input the expressions into y equals. So your first expression is going to go into y1. Your second equation will go into y2. Then we will be pressing graph or go to zoom and press 0. This will allow us to see the graph. We are next going to press second calc. This will let us calculate the intersection point. And we press intersect, number 5, enter, enter, enter. We will do all of this together so you can see all these steps in action. The answer is the value of x. If you have a decimal and you want to find the fraction form, you are going to need to go back to the main menu by pressing second mode, second, then press second, answer, enter to get the answer back, and that we will turn into a fraction. All right. So when we are looking at our graphing calculators, there will be 3 possible situations that we will see. The first one, we will see 2 lines that intersect at a specific location. So in this case, we have one solution. You may see only one line when we graph it. If you see only one graph, this means that we have infinite solutions. And the last case, we might see 2 lines that never intersect. This means we have no solutions. All right, so let's try example number 2, all within our calculator. So for number 1, let's bring in our calculator. And what we are going to do is we're going to follow these steps. So the first thing that we're doing is pressing y equals. We're going to input the fraction 1/6 into the calculator by pressing alpha y equals. That lets me input the fraction 1/6. I have a parenthesis. I have a 4x. Here's my x next to alpha. Minus 7. Close the parenthesis. So all of this left side is our expression number 1. Go down to y2. We're going to input 9/2. So again, alpha y equals. That lets me input a fraction, 9/2. We have a parenthesis, 9 minus another fraction, alpha y equals 3/4x. Close up your parenthesis, and then we have plus another fraction, alpha y equals, enter, 2/3x. Now, the next step, it says to press graph. So I'm going to see what I see if I press graph. Now here, as you can see on the calculator, when I press graph on this 10 by 10 grid, I only see one line. But is there a solution? Let me press zoom. And what I want to do is zoom fit. So go all the way down to 0 or 10. Press enter. And now you will see the other line. So I do see that this 2 lines are going to intersect somewhere over here. If I do not see the point of intersection, I will not be able to find it using the calculator. So I need to go back to zoom. This time I need to step away. So step out. Press enter, and now I see the point of intersection. I have an answer right here. So now to get your answer, you press second calc. That's the button above trace. We want the intersection point, so number 5. We press enter, enter, enter 3 times. It gives us our solution as x equals 12.34, so forth. So I do not want this as my answer. I want the most exact answer. So I'm going to go back to the main screen. So I'm going to press second mode. I'm at the main screen. I'm going to press second answer which is above the negative, and I am going to press enter. When I press enter, I get back exactly that same x value. And now to change this decimal into a fraction, we go to math, frac for fraction, enter, enter again, and there is my answer as exact as possible. So that's what I am going to write. All right, let's try number 2. So I'm going to go back to y equals. I'm going to clear everything just to start fresh. At y1, I am going to press 5, parenthesis. Instead of m, I'm just going to stick with x's as my unknown. Minus 6, parentheses, 3 plus m or x as I'm inputting. I'm going to go down to y2, input 4 minus the variable, and I'm going to press graph. Now I see the lines are not intersecting, but let me just zoom. Let me press zoom 0. That is going to fit it. Again, looks like parallel lines. And here we went further back. I'm just going to play it on the safe side and zoom out just to see what's happening if I keep zooming out. So the further I zoom out, I can clearly see that these two lines are not going to intersect. So what this tells me is that I have no solutions. All right, next one, number 3. I'm going to let you guys try number 3 and we will see what we get when we get up to our graphs. All right, so here is my input. When you are inputting, just make sure that whatever you have inputted into the calculator looks identical to what's on your paper. And if it isn't, just make sure that you go back and clear it and refresh, because if not, you will get a different value. All right, so as I press graph and I zoom fit, I see that a blue line was drawn and then a red one right above it. So let's just zoom in this time just to see if I can see it closer. If I zoom in further, if I keep zooming in, it doesn't matter how zoomed in I get, I have a line on top of a line, which just means that I have one line. If I have one line, that concludes that we have infinite solutions. If I have infinite solutions, I know that we are dealing with a set of all reals. All right, last one, another one I am going to let you guys try on your own. So here we have function notation, f of x. Whatever your variable is, just stick with x's. So instead of writing 9 over 2 f of x, we're just going to write 9 over 2x. Because don't forget, we are solving for an unknown. And our unknown when we're using the calculator is normally going to be x. So pause the video, try number 4 out. All right, so I've input this equation into my calculator, and as I said, any f of x, I just made it an x as my unknown. So everywhere we had f of x, there is an x. Again, let's press graph and let's see what we see. So as you saw, the last question, I was zooming in so much, so I don't see anything, which is why we normally like pressing zoom 0, zoom fit, because that's going to let you see the lines a little bit easier. All right, so here looking at these lines and how they're getting close together, it looks like my solution is going to be somewhere on the left side. So now I have to zoom out. Let me zoom out. And I do see the intersection point here. Let me just get closer to that. Press enter here. And I do have the intersection point nice and clear. Now I can go ahead and calculate. So to calculate, we press second calc. We are looking for the intersection point at this point. We press enter, 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 and the calculator gives us our value. That value is a decimal. Anytime you get a decimal, you need to go back to the main screen. Press second quit. That takes you back to the main screen. If you like, you can clear it. Press second answer. Enter gives you back the decimal value that was on your screen. And you go to math, frac for fraction, enter, enter. And this is my solution. So my solution is f of x equals. And that is all. So keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you in our next video.